Disaster 2. Sneaking in the dark. The house smelled different at night. Not like smoke and sunrise, but like damp wood, leftover stew, and the faint yeasty sigh of the oven settling down for sleep. Shadows stretched long across the floorboards, and the glow under my skin itched to flare, too bright for all that dark. Dawnborn curse, we never hide well. If you're going to solve a crime, you have to think like a criminal. That's what I told myself as I scraped the last of the supper stew from my bowl and slid it under the table for the dog we don't have. One day I'll get credit for being generous to invisible pets, you'll see. Real thieves didn't nap. Real thieves crept around at night with clever grins and bags slung over their shoulders. Which meant I, Kelri of no bread belly, had to do the same. The problem? Dawnborn don't exactly blend into the dark. Our glow leaks whether we want it to or not, like fireflies that never got the memo about being subtle. Even when I scrunched my shoulders and tried to dim, sparks still danced across my fingertips. Useless. So I needed a plan. A sneaky plan. Aunt Brenna stacked bowls by the wash basin, her glow sharp and tidy in the lamplight. She didn't even glance at me, which meant she was absolutely watching me with the back of her head. Aunt Powers. Uncle Vedran leaned on the doorframe, boots unlaced, looking like someone had carved, too tired to care, across his forehead. I stirred my stew one last time for show. So, I said, very casual. What if the thief comes back tonight? Aunt Brenna set the bowls down harder than necessary. Clink. Then we'll lock the oven like we should have done last night. I blinked. You can lock an oven? Her look said, of course you can lock an oven, you bread-thieving menace. Uncle Vedran smothered a laugh in his sleeve. Aunt Brenna, don't glare the girl into ashes. If she wants to chase shadows, let her chase. He tilted his mug at me. Just don't trip over the woodpile. Or the grassker. Or your own feet.
Ha! Ha!
I muttered, sparks fizzing from my fingernails. Still. If they weren't going to stop me, that meant I was free to set my trap. I spent the rest of supper pretending to eat slowly and very suspicious, I know, while really plotting my stakeout. Every bite of stew was just fuel for the night ahead. By the time the bowls were washed and the lamps dimmed, I was buzzing so hard with plans my glow kept sparking at the corners. The house settled heavy after supper, the kind of quiet that presses against your ears. Aunt Brenna snuffed the lamps one by one, her glow steady as she moved through the room. Uncle Vedran dozed in his chair, boots abandoned this time. The oven hummed low, as though it knew secrets it wasn't telling. I lay on my cot in the corner, flat on my back, eyes wide open. Sleep tugged at me like a too-tight blanket, but I shoved it away. Investigators didn't sleep. Investigators kept watch. My glow pulsed faint in my hands, nervous and jittery. I tucked them under the blanket, but light always leaks. Dawnborn curse. When the last creak of Aunt Brenna's footsteps faded upstairs, I sat up, heart pounding so hard it made my glow flare. I clamped my hands together and sucked in a breath. Okay. Thalen. Easy. Just, don't be seen. Shrink. Disappear. Be less Kelri. I squeezed my eyes shut and thought really hard about being a shadow, about folding myself up like a cloak and tucking the glow inside. Shadows don't burp light. Shadows don't trip over floorboards. Shadows don't have stomachs that growl loud enough to wake the dead. For one breath, it worked. My glow sank low, edges blurring, like the whole room shrugged me off. My heart thumped so loud I was sure it would give me away, but otherwise, perfect. Then I got excited. I shifted my foot forward, just a toe, and the whole thing popped like a bubble. My glow snapped back so bright I almost lit the rafters.
Ugh.
I whispered, scrubbing at my arms like I could shove the light back in. Still. I just have to stay still. But how was I supposed to stay still if the thief walked right past me? The first disaster of the night was boredom. Turns out, thieves don't show up on command. I crouched. I fidgeted. I tried glaring at the crumbs like maybe that would summon the culprit. Nothing. Minutes oozed by like cold honey. My eyelids drooped. My head bobbed. Once, my forehead thunked against the oven door and the oven gave a low, offended hum, like, "Child, do I look like a pillow?" I whispered, "Sorry," then immediately panicked because what if I just apologized to the thief by accident? I slapped both hands over my mouth. Still nothing. Then, scritch. The faintest scrape at the door. Every spark in me leapt at once, glow prickling across my arms like fireworks. My heart banged so hard I thought Aunt Brinna would storm down the stairs and tell it to hush. The latch jiggled. The wood creaked. A shape slid through the crack, shadow first, body second. I nearly squealed out loud. I bit my sleeve instead, sparks fizzling from my fingertips. Got you. The shape slid into the kitchen like it belonged there. I squished myself against the oven, every muscle clenched so tight my glow leaked out anyway, sparks fizzing traitorously across my palms. My glow prickled all down my arms, and my heart was thumping so hard I was sure it was glowing too. The figure paused. Their glow flickered faint, like it was trying to hide under a blanket but kept sticking toes out. Terrible job. Almost as bad as mine. A thief. A real thief. I grinned into my sleeve, then panicked because grins gleam. My teeth practically lit up the room. I slapped a hand over my mouth, nearly snorting sparks out my nose. The thief crept closer, bent at the table, and crouched at the crumbs. I squinted so hard my eyes watered. They pinched one. Stuck it in their mouth. Chewed. I nearly exploded. Proof. Not dirt. Not imagination. An actual thief eating the evidence. Before my brain could stop me, and when does it ever, I leapt forward, sparks snapping off my fingers like angry fireflies. Caught you. I shouted, voice cracking like I'd swallowed a trumpet. The thief yelped and jumped so hard they smacked into the table. Mugs rattled, a chair toppled, and the oven hummed a low, judgmental TSK. The glow flared bright. Not a shadow monster. Not a whisker-faced bandit. Lyric. From next door. He froze mid-stumble, arms windmilling, eyes wide as graskers when they realized the bucket's empty. His glow, dawn-born bright, pulsed in embarrassed bursts like hiccups. Kelri? His voice squeaked so high it could have cracked a window. What are you doing? What am I doing? Sparks popped from my finger as I jabbed it at him. You broke into my kitchen. You ate the bread. You're the thief. He threw his hands up, glow flaring so high his freckles glistened like someone had sprinkled sugar across his face. I am not. He flailed like he was trying to swat words out of the air. Then sagged. Okay, maybe tonight. Aha. I stomped my heels so hard the floorboards thumped back at me. 6 loaves, lyric. That's not little. That's a bread army. Enough to storm the meadow and crown yourself king of the bread army. His ears glowed red. Yesterday? Not me. I wasn't even here yesterday. Tonight, fine, you caught me. But yesterday wasn't me. He patted his flat stomach, glow sputtering nervously. See? Not a bread belly. I narrowed my eyes until they burned. That's exactly what the thief from yesterday would say. Deny everything, pretend you're innocent. He waved both hands so hard sparks jumped. I'm telling you, yesterday wasn't me. Tonight, yes. But not yesterday. The stairs creaked. Both of us froze. Aunt Brenna's glow spilled down the stairwell, steady and sharp, each step landing like a drumbeat of doom. Lyric mouthed, "Run." I mouthed back, "Confess." The stair groaned louder. Aunt Brenna's shadow stretched across the wall, long and heavy, arms already folded the way she does when she's about to carve your excuses into tiny crumbs. Lyric bolted for the door, glow trailing like a comet. He tripped over the chair he'd knocked down, scrambled up so fast he smacked his shin, and hissed like an angry shardcat before slipping through the crack into the night. I stood rooted, sparks hissing in my palms, the oven humming smugly behind me, crumbs glittering on the floor like they'd all tattled to her. Kelri. Aunt Brenna said my name like it weighed more than the whole oven. My glow shrank to nothing, sputtering out like a torch dropped in the river. The bread was gone. The thief was gone. And I was about to face disaster number 2, gift wrapped in Aunt Brenna's glare. Aunt Brenna reached the bottom step, her glow steady as a lantern that didn't care if you wanted to hide. She took in the toppled chair, the trail of crumbs, my sparks still sizzling in the air. Her eyes narrowed the tiniest bit, and that was worse than shouting. I straightened so fast I nearly smacked my head on the table. My mouth opened, but no words came out. Not good. Words were my weapon. Without them, I was a crumb waiting to be swept up. Aunt Brenna pressed her fingers to her brow, then folded her arms tight across her chest. Her glow wavered sharp, tired at the edges. Explain. That single word was like a whole trial. I gulped. It was a stakeout. Sparks jittered off my fingers, traitors all. I was catching the thief. Which I did. You would have been proud until he escaped. But he was here, I swear. He left crumbs and everything. Aunt Brenna pinched the bridge of her nose, glow flaring with irritation. Her sigh dragged through the kitchen like it weighed 100 pounds. She lifted the fallen chair, set it down harder than she needed to, and didn't even look at me while doing it. So you broke chairs and scattered bread yourself? No. That was Lyric. I jabbed a finger toward the door like the boy might still be glowing out there. He came sneaking in, stuffing crumbs in his mouth like a shardcat at feast time. I caught him red-glowed. Aunt Brenna didn't even glance at the door. Her eyes stayed on me, sharp enough to slice me in half. And the 6 loaves from yesterday? My glow fizzled. I fiddled with a crumb stuck to my sleeve. Well, he said that wasn't him. The oven hummed in sympathy, and Aunt Brenna's sigh got even heavier. She rubbed her temples with both hands, glow tight and weary. So you're telling me you snuck from bed, shouted the house awake, set sparks flying, frightened the neighbor's boy into running, and still have no answer about my missing loaves? When she said it like that, it didn't sound heroic at all. I tried again. But you should have seen me, Aunt Brenna. I almost Thailand. Almost. For one whole breath, the room forgot me. That's progress. Her glow didn't flicker. You woke the whole house for sparks and crumbs, Aunt Brenna said flatly. My shoulders hunched, and my glow shrank down to a dim little flicker, like it wanted to hide under the table with me. The silence stretched, heavy as wet dough. From the corner came a loud snort. Uncle Vedran had dozed off in his chair after supper, boots abandoned, head tipped back like he was keeping watch on the rafters. He hadn't stirred through sparks, shouting, or even the crash of the chair. But the moment Aunt Brenna's glow touched the kitchen, his eyes cracked open, lazy and amused, like her presence tugged him awake. What's all the racket? Aunt Brenna, did the Graskers break in? No, Aunt Brenna said crisply, though her glow still pulsed sharp with exhaustion. Just your niece, chasing shadows. Uncle Vedran yawned so wide it nearly swallowed his glow. He rubbed his jaw and peered at me, amusement tugging at the corner of his mouth. Catch anything? My shoulders sagged. Only Lyric. Uncle Vedran chuckled, low and warm. Like he'd expected nothing less. Poor boy'll never live it down. Aunt Brenna brushed the crumbs from the table into her palm and held them up, glow edging sharp again. Kelri, this is not a game. Bread is food. Work. Hours of labor. If someone is stealing it, I need answers, not dramatics. My cheeks burned hotter than my glow. I wanted to argue that dramatics were half my skill set, but the words stuck. She rubbed her temples, muttering under her breath about wasted flour and foolishness. Then she let the crumbs fall into the bin, brushed her hands on her apron, and turned toward the stairs with the heavy steps of someone too tired for this nonsense. Back to bed. We'll speak more tomorrow. I shuffled toward my cot, glow dim and prickly. My chest ached with everything I hadn't said, that I really had tried, that it wasn't just play, that I wanted to be useful. But the words stayed trapped. The oven gave a low hum as I crawled under the blanket. Not smug this time. Almost sympathetic. I lay under my blanket, glow still prickling, stomach twisting like I'd swallowed raw dough. The house had gone quiet again, except for Uncle Vedran's soft snores and the oven's low hum, but my head was loud enough to shake the rafters. Aunt Brenna thought I was just playing. She always thought that. To her, everything I did was too much, too loud, too messy, too dramatic. Maybe it was. But I wasn't making this up. There was a thief. Lyric proved it. Except, Lyric also said yesterday wasn't him. I rolled onto my side, clutching the blanket tight. His face had looked so puzzled when I shouted about 6 loaves. Too puzzled to be faking. Even his freckles glowed wrong when he lied. Which meant. I shoved my head under the blanket and whispered into the stuffy dark, there's still another thief. My glow pulsed with the words, stubborn little sparks lighting the cloth like stars trapped in a jar. Maybe the real thief was sneakier than Lyric. Maybe it wasn't even Dawnborn at all. Groveborn? Mistborn? Someone who could slip and slide in ways I couldn't. The thought made my glow flare brighter, and I smacked the blanket down to hide it. The oven hummed from across the room, a slow, secretive sound. Like it knew more than it would ever tell. I sat up halfway. You know something, I whispered at it. Don't you? You saw who took them. The oven, naturally, refused to answer. My glow fizzled, but my determination didn't. If Aunt Brenna thought I was giving up after one disaster, she was wrong. I was Kelri of No Bread Belly, apprentice detective, almost Thalaner, catcher of thieves. And I wasn't done. Not until I had proof of who stole those loaves. I flopped back down, sparks trailing across my arms. Tomorrow, I'd watch again. Closer this time. Maybe even get help, though probably not from Lyric, unless I wanted more crumbs on the floor. My eyes finally drooped, heavy as flour sacks. The last thing I saw before sleep dragged me under was the oven's faint glow, steady and smug, as if it was keeping the thief's secret tucked safe in its brick mouth. Fine. Keep your secrets, oven. Tomorrow, I'd crack you wide open.